You can't eat money.
Every day that you open your mouth, I'm more convinced that you're abducted by aliens.
I'm just telling you what I remember. Holy moly.
And then one time they taste your blood, and then they eat your liver.
Right.
She's a witch. She turned me into a newt.
That's the sound of the harmonica flying through the air.
Biologically speaking, very nice.
It's nice. Okay.
It's nice. Beating a sheep to death.
Oh.
I got stuff for you you don't even know about.
Until I get my ham hands on you.
I know, it's got big ham hands. It can't do nothing.
That's what I'm saying. I never heard that. It's hands the size of hams. What? Who wrote this?
And you're like, oh, this is neat. I'll see this next year on an article.
Yeah.
Write my little paper and then send it on to the back of the house.
And then it...
The back of the house.
Yeah.
Welcome to Cryptids of the Corn podcast. Welcome back to Cryptids of the Corn podcast, season finale, part 2. I am the great and dynamite, Mr. He.
I am J Clone 33.
Just doing the... I don't know any of the South American dances.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I was doing the one where they're Rio de Janeiro and they got all the sequins. What's the big parade they do?
In South America? Mm-hmm. Rio de Janeiro? I don't know. I just know the
festival.
Are you thinking of like New Orleans and all that Mardi Gras?
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
Sounds like Mardi Gras to me.
It's Mardi. You put the Mardi Gras to shame.
Oh.
No, the floats are literally. You don't know what I'm talking about?
No.
Somebody's gonna comment immediately. It like some of the floats are like 4 stories tall.
Do they have the beads there too?
No.
Oh.
No, they don't.
Well, it ain't the same as Mardi Gras.
I said it wasn't the same as Mardi Gras.
You said it's bigger and better.
Yes. So it's not the same.
No beads.
So yeah, South American dinosaurs, living dinosaurs.
Right. Because part 1 we did North America.
And extinction explanation.
Well, of course, yes. We set the stage. Then we covered North America dino accounts, modern day. So now we're just crossing that Panama Canal into the southern hemisphere for South America in part 2.
So for South American part 2, we've used everything from the Cryptid Wiki to Phantoms and Monsters to Mysterious Universe to some, Freudian Zoology. So several books I have. Some of these, once again, we're going to run into a lot of pattern with some of these. There's tons of information on, and some of them there's nothing. But they're still really cool to include.
Right, yeah.
So the Arctica monster.
Arctica.
Arica monster. Arctica or Arica.
Okay.
I don't know how to pronounce it either way. That's how it's spelled.
Oh, what is this thing?
It's a monster. The Arctica monster, or the Arica monster, is said to be a theropod-like creature that inhabits the vast Arctica Desert in Chile, South America.
Okay.
Another desert one.
Yes, that's just like Texas and North America.
And the Four Corners area.
Yep.
River dinos. In South America. Its depictions fitting those of a dromaeosaur and a kangaroo.
Okay.
So it's got one of those like hybrid like looks to it.
Yeah.
Very much. I mean, most of the time when you're seeing it, kangaroos do look like furry dinosaurs when they run around and their big thick tails, their arm, how they walk.
Right, yeah.
So various motorists driving the main road linking Inqua and Antarctica have reported a 6-foot-tall, sharp-toothed bipedal creature crossing the road in front of them. More similarities to North America. It's been said that it has 3-toed footprints, characteristics of that of very primitive dinosaurs.
Okay.
Kangaroos, and even emus. So when we start talking about what this creature could be, all of those creatures have 3-toed tracks.
Okay.
So it could be an emu. It could be a kangaroo or a very primitive dinosaur.
Quite the range.
In Destination Truth, which we'll talk about more in a minute, it's a TV show,
Yes.
is described as a dinosaur-like bird.
Is that the show with Josh Gates?
Yes.
Okay.
One of the.
I like that show.
They're fun
I liked
shows.
it, yeah.
They're fun shows.
I never really saw anything.
They're fun shows.
But I liked it.
They're fun.
Yeah. I mean, I like how they went into, they told the lore of the regions of the earth.
I think the people that don't like those type of shows take everything too seriously.
A little bit, yeah.
They're not documentaries.
No, and they're not going to see anything. They might see the trees shaking in the woods.
Yeah, they see a lot of stuff. They just don't see anything.
Yeah.
Like Finding Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But when you meet the Finding Bigfoot guys, they're great.
Oh, absolutely.
The show is a show.
Yeah.
In 2004, several members of a large Spanish family saw what they described as a 4 dog-faced kangaroo, or that's 4, dog-faced kangaroo-like creatures that surrounded their vehicle as they made their way to home in Antarctica. Several times in 2004, other people reported seeing these same creatures, once even seen in a large group. So they're often seen together with other members of whatever species they are. It's a very odd thing. Kangaroo-like dog-faced creatures.
Kangaroo-like dog-faced creatures. I mean, I don't know. I mean, are you thinking hyena?
No. The Arctic monster was first reported in the Arkema Desert, like I said, in 1980. Witnesses describe it running around like a huge kangaroo-like creature. Keep in mind, it's 5 to 6 foot tall.
Then that's definitely not hyena.
Bipedal monster in the desert. The sightings have made many people who travel by car on different days the remote road that links these two cities through the desert. Pretty much, this is like the only road to go back and forth. It's in the middle of the desert, so it's like Route 66.
Yes. Okay.
It's some 2,000 kilometers north of Santiago, Chile. The newspaper and the other cities collect recent accounts of citizens who claim to have seen these rare creatures. In addition, a military officer named Hurin Corvus said that he spotted 2 of these beasts while traveling with his 2 other adults and children in the vehicle. He quoted saying this, "A huge beast, much like a 2-legged dinosaur, with huge thighs."
Ooh, okay.
They describe, and once again, it's translated into English, so
Okay.
there could be a little bit of
Lost in
hiccups.
translation, yeah.
He doesn't talk like that.
Okay.
Just what, Google tells you.
Right.
They describe the creature as being exactly like a raptor from Jurassic Park. In this case, it's said to be a living dromaeosaur, which is like a lot of the typical like velociraptor type animals, the raptors.
Okay. That's what I was. Okay. I didn't know. No idea. Dromaeosaur.
You can look. I found some clippings of these from newspapers. Basically, they'll kind of sometimes they'll rush cars.
Okay.
I don't know if they're like breeding out there in the desert or if they're just crossing the desert. This desert is absolutely massive.
Okay.
So I don't know if they live out in the desert normally, and this is the one highway that crosses the desert. So these are where these animals have to cross over
In order to not run into people
to get to the other half of the desert.
Right. Yeah.
Because it kind of splits the two.
Okay. Gotcha.
So there's 2 massive halves of this desert.
And this is just that stretch in between.
As far as we know,
basically.
there's some cops that have claimed to see these creatures. Very similar reports of being like a really thick-legged dinosaur.
Okay.
Which when we look at, they say raptors. I definitely don't get the raptor vibe. I almost get more of the ornis vibe, the bird-like dinosaurs, because they were really like made to run like ostriches.
Okay.
So they have the humongous thighs and really thin bodies because their legs are doing all the work to go across the desert.
Right.
But essentially running from desert to desert.
I'm trying to think what this. I have an animal. I'm trying to look it up. Oh, I think I found it. I know what it is. I know what this is. It's a crossbreed because you said South America. Mm-hmm. Bipedal-ish, kind of running. I don't know if. Well, I guess that might throw it off. There's a thing called a Patagonian Mara. Mm-hmm. It's just a supersized one because normally they're tiny.
Yeah.
Do you know what a Mara those are? They're like rabbit-like looking things.
Yeah,
but
we talked about this before.
these are the ones that are just in South America and Patagonia. It's one of these guys.
Yeah, because
desert.
they're related to capybaras and stuff.
Yeah, yep. It's down.
I'm going to say it's not.
Oh,
Personally.
I know. I was kind of making a stretch.
Nothing, a long-legged rabbit deer doesn't look like a dog-faced kangaroo dinosaur.
It did kind of.
Well, I guess, I don't know.
The kangaroo thing is what made me think of it. Like,
I guess you could see a kangaroo horse.
If it was supersized, maybe something like that.
And dog teeth and...
Yeah, I don't know. It crossbred with a dinosaur.
So, yeah, we'll talk about the Destination Truth episode. But, yeah, there's just not a lot. There is, once again, with search engines and stuff like that, there are plenty of Chilean, newspaper clippings of this story.
Ooh, okay.
With eyewitnesses and stuff like that.
See, now that's significant to me.
It's seen kind of regularly. Okay. By that, I mean a handful of sightings a year.
Right.
So...
Almost like how Bigfoot would be in the whole United States.
Yeah, but this is one road
right,
in one
exactly.
desert.
Very
as far as I could find. So once again, for anybody that wants to research this, I'll spell the desert. It's Atacama.
Atacama.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so the desert is just absolutely vast, which is another one of these things that you see from some of the North American ones. Is
vast, wide open deserts and dinosaurs being running around them. Yeah.
And dinosaurs lived in every environment imaginable. But humans really don't do well in deserts. There are several desert cultures, from around the world that have taken full advantage of desert habitat.
But it's not easy.
And then they don't even go into all the parts of the desert. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of the Western tribes, completely abandoned valleys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it just sucks. So whether it's absolutely full of rattlesnakes or, poisonous plants.
Just doesn't suit
humans.
Yeah, soft fleshed, vulnerable meat sack.
So the Destination Truth episode with this creature, the first time it was from the Atacama Desert in Chile. There are reports of possible dinosaurs surviving on the surface. The particular desert itself is great interest in itself. It is considered the driest place on the surface of the planet Earth.
Really?
Although water can be found if one knows where to look for it.
Wow, okay. So it's drier than the Sahara.
Yeah, no, it's
Gobi.
They're just bigger.
Absolutely, they're bigger, but it's even drier.
Yeah.
Even drier than Antarctica.
Which Antarctica has low precipitation. It does have a lot of water because it's all water.
True, it is all melted. Or not melted, it needs to be all melted.
South America has provided itself with wonderful fossils from the Jurassic and the Cretaceous periods, and Chile is no exception. But could there actually be an ancient species that somehow managed to survive this extinction in this unhospitable desert? There's a lot of tortoises out there, so it could be a fast bipedal tortoise.
He outgrew his niche and took over the predator one.
So like I already said, Torre Diaz's family describes it as being a dog-faced kangaroo-like monster. Other motorists come in with reports, they give a more conventional dinosaur-like description.
Yeah.
It's really hard when you hear these descriptions and they're translated and you can't talk to the person.
Right.
What does dog face mean? We kind of in our heads we're laughing, picturing a dog on a kangaroo body.
No, I was picturing a tortoise that turned into a dog kangaroo.
But this could easily mean that maybe it had lips like a dog with big canine teeth, or that snout of a dog, or I don't know.
Snout kangaroo like.
Yeah, I don't know. Was it a kangaroo like body with a more predatory head? Mm-hmm. When we're talking about these translated things, it's very easy to make it comical. But as we all know, when you translate something, it leaves words out and adds words.
For sure. It's different context, different grammar structure to their sentences, so it translates differently.
So a composite of these creatures reported by eyewitnesses in the fed to the DT programming software, and the results is an animal not unfamiliar with raptors. So they did this on the TV show.
Okay.
So they took hundreds of eyewitness reports of these animals, put it through a federal software program, and it gave a composite of what looked like a velociraptor. Once again, it's the TV show.
Is this this is the AI before, ain't it?
This is 2000, what did I say, 2009?
Yeah, so before the AI stuff all came out.
So thick leathery skin, three-toed feet, an upright stance with razor-sharp teeth is kind of the basic of the common descriptors across it. But almost all of these eyewitnesses seen from a car moving fast.
Okay.
Because they're driving on this one singular road through the driest place on the planet.
Trying to get through as fast as possible.
Or the Orbitz family, They were looking, basically they compare this both to like the Mars surface area. They actually do studies for this area for how to survive on the surface of Mars.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm not joking because it's such an inhospitable area that you ever seen the domes and stuff they built?
Yes.
It's in this desert. Because it sucks.
And there's not much people here?
No. Well, there are big cities around this desert, but not in the bowl.
Exactly. Okay, they made another show. We should bump that information to some other guys.
Yeah, so Josh Gates speaks to several people and university professors. Basically, there is a belief that an undiscovered species, not a dinosaur, but an undiscovered species could be living out there because there's been so little research done out there. Because it's absolutely horrible.
Oh, I thought you were going to say asinine for just a split second.
It's just like why we don't look in the Yukon and why we don't look into Siberia.
Or why we don't look inside of a volcano.
It's because it's absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
No, so there's just, I don't have a lot on it. That's pretty much it.
Okay. That's it for South America?
That's
one
it for
account.
South
I was going
America.
to say, I'm like, man, you really powered through that fast.
The Arica monster. Arica.
Arica. Oh, it's like Erica, but Arica.
Arica is the best way I could describe it.
Yeah.
Now, so we're going to move on to a Mysterious Universe ad that kind of compiles a bunch of South American creatures, more from the Amazon.
Okay.
Some rather cryptic reports come from a famed explorer, Percy Fawcett, who was most well known for his ambitious and ill-fated expedition in 1925 to find the lost city that he was convinced had been forgotten in the depths of the Amazon jungle. The journey during which he would vanish off the face of the earth, become the most baffling disappearance in history. He also seen a lot of dinosaurs looking for this lost city.
Oh, okay.
And he died.
Interesting.
Probably not a good death.
There's a lot of lost cities down there.
No, so do you know what he's talking about? You know what he's referencing? We'll do a whole episode on it eventually.
What, the lost city? Or?
So I believe it was like the 1400s. There was a pass-through expedition way before like Americas were discovered or all that.
Right.
But a guy talked, maybe it was 1500s. I don't remember. I'm talking off the top of my head. Basically, this explorer found the city that was 2 or 3 times bigger than the size of London at the time.
Okay.
At the exact same, like, he was from London.
Right.
Found the city. The locals were very welcoming. Mm-hmm. And when they came back, like, 30 or 40 years later, it was just jungle. And they think it was because that guy had killed them all.
With bringing disease by accident or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was a laughing stock because he couldn't find the this metropolis
that he described. Yeah.
And later on, they found it. Like it was there, right where he said it was. It was just covered in trees because everybody died, and it took like 20 years for him to come back.
And it overgrows that fast. Yeah.
It's a jungle. Yeah. So yeah, this Percy's accounts. So now you find this lost city. He says this. I have written of Fawcett in his various expeditions in much depth and mysteries before, but one of the most interesting aspects of his adventures are all the strange and mysterious creatures he allegedly encountered along his way. You know, going to the Amazon in 1925, you're going to find some weird things.
Absolutely, we still are today, modern day.
Constantly. Among with cyanide-shooting millipedes and acid-swelling ants, double-nosed dogs, cat-dog hybrids, giant snakes, and giant spiders seem to be very well seen and heard from actual living dinosaurs in the badlands of those that run amok in unexplored jungles. So all those weird creatures I just said are real.
Cat dogs?
Stuff like binturongs and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah. Oh, true, yeah.
Where you see an animal that the best you can describe is halfway between a cat and a dog.
Right. The binturongs or the bear cat.
Yeah, the acid-shooting millipedes, cyanide-shooting millipedes, they do that.
Yep. We've covered that before.
Ants, yes. Double-nosed dogs. I can't remember the actual name of the creature. There's a creature that looks like it has 2 noses.
Like from Ernest Scared Stupid?
Sure.
The troll?
Yes. Giant snakes, obviously, the biggest snakes in the world are in South America.
Yep, that's true. We did an episode on that.
Yeah. And then giant spiders. We did giant spiders episode.
Too, yeah.
And they were there. The Amazon.
Doesn't that inspire you just to be an explorer and go out and...
I would love to go to the Amazon, but it'd be very controlled. Yeah. I'm not going anywhere in the Amazon.
You need one of those things in the newer Jurassic Park movies where they roam around the bubble.
Yeah. No, I'd go fishing in the Amazon, but I'm going to where it's safe for white people. Because I'm a fat white man. I will not survive.
Oh, yeah, well.
If the guide says, if you walk off this trail, you will die, guess what I'm not doing? I'm not that guy walking off the trail when you see, like, is that a dinosaur over there?
No.
You know what? No.
No, if you've seen a dinosaur, your curiosity be like, oh,
I would be like,
I got to get a picture.
I remember the Jurassic Park scene when clever girl.
Yeah.
No, so yeah, he's seen some dinosaurs. Some of these accounts are told by him and others. Some of these accounts were wrote in letters in the 1919, and he writes of strange dinosaur-like creatures supposedly lurking in the jungles of Bolivia. He says this, "A friend of mine, a trader in the river, and for those honestly I can vouch for, say in somewhere in the latitude 12 south and longitude 65 west, that's Bolivia, Brazil, borderlands, the head and the neck of a huge reptile, and the characters of that of a brontosaurus. It was without question of whose was scared most, for the particularly withdrawal, and it plunged with the strangest amount of its bulk into the river. The savage appeared to be familiar. Once again, colorful language from 1919. The savages appeared to be familiar with the existence and the tracks of these beasts. Although I have never came across any in the letters of myself, these swamps are over immense areas and vastly unpredictable." So his buddy seen essentially what he said, a giant reptile reminiscent of a brontosaurus, big long neck, and it ran out of the forest and jumped into the river. I have found more accounts of this that kind of explain it in better detail. Some say that it had like flippers like a seal. Others say it had really short elephant-like legs.
Okay.
Don't know. 1919.
Right. It's hard
And
to
he
tell.
also called the locals savages. He's like, the savages, they seem to be familiar with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we lived here until they built a tire factory.
And he probably didn't mean like anything bad at the time by that. It's just how they
the
spoke
lingo.
back then.
Well, no, they thought they were savages.
Yes, but even that word may have meant something a little different than, maybe it just been people that didn't
Have
live
you watched
in...
Pocahontas?
Yeah.
The song,
That's
Savages.
Dirty evil human. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Barely even human.
Oh, is that what they say?
Yes.
That's what I always misread saying it as a kid.
No, it was like dirty something. Barely even human.
Oh,
Savages.
that's what they're saying.
Savages.
Yeah, I sang it wrong as a kid.
They're hoarding the gold.
It's so awful.
She's like, we don't have gold. We have corn. We
That's
lived
the
here.
gold.
Yeah, no, so, yeah, and he gives a location. So he didn't witness this creature, but his buddy's seen this creature that he vouches for is a true storyteller, I guess. What he's telling you is really happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think of that first one?
And I would like to know how it jumped in the water. Did it do a swan dive, cannonball? Back.
So from the stories I found with a little more detail, it was like running into the water.
Yeah, going fast, yeah.
Like a hippo or an elephant.
That's kind of what I pictured, yeah.
And taking safety. And there's a lot of big animals in the Amazon. So the Amazon, we talked about it on several episodes before, is missing its hippo. Well, now there's hippos. Probably Escobar's hippos are trying to take over. And
they'll fill that niche.
well, they're trying to exterminate them very fast. And there's big wars going on about not killing Pablo Escobar's hippos.
Really?
Yeah, because they're smart, sentient animals, and just mass murdering them is looked down upon. But also the people that want to save, like, they don't understand what a hippo is going to do to this river.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So-
I mean, why not just, if they're going to take them out, use the meat. I mean...
I'm sure they taste great.
Sure
Hippo
they do.
looks like a big wet pig,
Sounds good, doesn't
and
it?
that sounds like a good barbecue.
Some hippo ribs,
Man, we're still going with
hippo backstrap,
Cryptids and coffee from this morning.
hippo snout,
Mug of meat.
a mug of hippo.
No, don't eat hippos. So yeah, but enormous bulk. The savages appear to be very familiar with the existence of the creature and the tracks of this beast. He hasn't ran across it himself. So yeah, typical brontosaurus. From some of the ones, and once again, it's hard to tell. Game of telephone, like 20, 25 feet tall is kind of what I could find as being how tall this animal was.
Okay.
So not tiny,
Right.
but when we talk about the brontosaurus from Canada, we're talking 70, 80 feet tall.
Yeah, it's
a little different.
A little shorter.
But a lot of sauropods weren't the absolute giants.
Right.
Those are the famous ones.
Right.
There were actually sauropods the size of horses. They just had a big long neck, and they took up the horse niche. Yeah, so moving on. Sorry, where was I? Yeah. Percy made another baffling mention in his notes of something very strange, large, and seemingly very much like that of a dinosaur in the wilds of Bolivia also. Some mysterious and enormous beast had frequently been disturbing in the swamp. Possibly a primeval monster, like those reported in other parts of the continent. Currently, tracks have been found belonging to unknown animals. Huge tracks, far greater than that of anything made of any species we know about yet. So he starts going in talking about that they can hear this monsters essentially in these deep swamps. So when they're moving, they're using the main river channels.
Okay.
So I didn't explain how the Amazon works very well.
They use the main river channels to
Move around
through...
and explore.
Okay.
There are offshoots of, I'm talking immense wetlands that most people just don't go into.
Because it sucks to navigate.
One of the guys that went on Joe Rogan's talking about the giant anacondas, looking for the giant anacondas. Talks about when they talked, or the locals, like the village elder told them to go for anacondos, giant anacondas, which are they're anacondas.
Okay.
That's a word for anaconda.
Oh.
Is you go to this island, essentially. As they get to the island, they're standing out there. The guides won't come with them. The native people won't come with them. And they're like, it's just a big grassland. And they step on it, and it all wiggles. There's water underneath it all.
The whole thing, yeah.
It's all moving marshland.
Yeah.
So this massive swamp he was talking about has water and stuff underneath it. So they never went into it.
Not even an island.
Yeah, no, it's not real.
Yeah.
If you walk into there, like there's caiman and giant snakes and everything under you. So
It's only a good spot to fish.
when you talk about these creatures, like when he's like we off from the trail in this swamp, we could hear monsters moving around all night, and we found their tracks.
Yeah.
You can't go into there. Is what I'm getting at.
Right.
It's not a place that, as even if people that live there, don't go into.
You need like a Star
because
Wars...
you will die.
Like a Star Wars hover bike.
Yeah,
To get through that.
And then you'll get eaten by a giant caiman, jumps up and just grabs you. No, so they found the tracks of this mysterious creature. But yeah, and I don't get a good description of the tracks, but they say it belongs to no known animal.
Yeah.
So tapirs are probably about our biggest mammal. They're supposed to be there, and they get big, 400 or 500 pounds.
Is that megafauna territory or not?
They're
quite?
right on the edge of it.
Okay.
They had cousins like trontodons, which were giant mammals from South America, which could be maybe relic species of what these people are seeing.
Okay.
They were big hippo-like monsters. They had bad attitudes.
Stubby legs?
Yeah, but they didn't have long necks. They had short necks.
Oh, dang it.
But another one. In the maddening brief and lacking of details, which is a bit odd for Percy, who normally went into great lengths about anything. This is kind of what's weird about some of these dinosaur accounts. Most of the time, they're very short in Percy's journals.
And usually
he's long-winded.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird. And it may be that he may not have seen too much grandiose things, so he just kind of like, I'd rather talk about the giant snake I seen you as a kid.
Right, yeah.
So, I don't know.
It's hard telling. I mean, these are older accounts.
There's also the fact that the creature, whatever it was, it mentioned nowhere else in his journals, and it was never brought up again, making it frustratingly unclear what exactly he was talking about in these uncharted jungles. Percy also several points mentioned hearing from natives of enormous mysterious tracks in the Arca River, near the borderlands of Peru, Bolivia, and Brazil. Although these people were never actually seen in this exclusive creature that made them. So you remember we start talking about like Mokele Mbembe from Africa, is that you see a lot of the signs and you don't really see Mokele Mbembe.
Right. You see the footprints, you see the trails they leave.
The tunnels in the forest.
Right, that they're leaving behind.
Yeah, like elephant-sized tunnels, whether you want to say it's an elephant, it's whatever. But massive tunnels, you don't see them a lot.
Okay.
So you kind of get this from some of these creatures Percy's talking about. Is that the locals know the tracks, they know the sounds they make. They don't really see them.
Because when they do,
Well, they're probably
they don't live.
They're probably all dead.
Yeah.
Another early explorer from South America wrote of possible living dinosaurs in the region was a German explorer named, we're going to go with Franz. It's Franz Hermann
Okay.
Schmidt.
Schmidt.
Franz Hermann Schmidt, who in October of 1907 was exploring the inhospitable Peruvian interior along with Captain Rudolf Puffing and other native guides. Upon coming up into the valley, they come to found an area in the Solmus River, which oddly devoid of any water animals such as alligators, which came in at the time, alligators and aquatic snakes, and indeed any life at all. So they come into this area they're exploring, and they notice the distinct lack of life.
Okay.
Big life.
Suspicious.
So water life.
Okay.
So no alligators, no caiman, no big snakes. So keep in mind in this area, there's
Those
caiman.
things-
There's several species of caiman in this area.
Those things should exist in abundance.
Yes. So when it's something you can notice, it's kind of weird.
It's like when you go through the forest and all the bugs stop. And it's just, this is weird.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
So as they were searching for any kind of form of life, they came across unusually massive footprints in the mud. The guide reporter became quite upset and agitated with this discovery, warned them they needed to head back home now. But apparently camped there anyways. So typical white guys, white explorers. The guide's like, hey,
We should leave.
the native is, no, this is, notice that there's no alligators and there's this giant footprint that you could fit a kid in.
Right.
Let's go home.
And they're like, but we're already out here.
It's probably a hippo, my dear man.
Yeah. Well, you've been there before. You know, you get all the way out to an area and they want to turn around and leave. No, you made it all the way out here. We're staying.
I do like my life a lot, though. So if I take the people who live there's opinions very seriously.
Yeah.
So if the native guide is going, hey, I live here. This is bad. Let's leave. You know what?
Probably
We're going to leave. We're going to go back to camp.
Fair enough.
Okay. So they camp there anyways. The next day, fresh tracks were reportedly found along the river right near camp. And Fing announced that he decided that he was going to follow them to see where they led.
Smart.
So they're camping, and they wake up, and there's giant tracks that they did not hear
All around them.
all around their camp, right?
Yeah.
Walking up and down the river.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's go see where they lead. Shortly after this, there was a commotion in the jungle as the monkeys and birds screamed and screeched as if a large, deep shape came crashing through the brush, which sent them... okay, so I'm going to use some language again. Which sent the spooked Indian guide scurrying for safety into his canoes. Smith would write this of his incident. So basically, there's a giant blob running out of the forest.
Right, yeah.
Monkeys and birds are flying
Going
and
nuts.
screeching.
Yeah.
And the guide he's gone.
Yeah.
And here's what he writes. Of the excited Indian began to paddle the boat away from shore. And before we could stop him, he was 100 foot from the waterline.
He gone.
He gone. He warned you.
Yeah, he did.
Now we could see nothing, and the Indian was absolutely refused to put in again. Would neither Fing or myself cared to lay down our rifles or paddles. So they hear this thing, they're not putting the rifles down.
I
So they're
wouldn't.
not swimming out to this guy. There was a great movement of plants and the sound of heavy slaps or a paddling as it meandered of cries of monkeys moving rapidly from the lake. For a full 10 minutes, there was silence, and the green growth began to stir again. And coming back to the lake, with it beheld a frightening monster, as I shall now describe. Its head appeared to be over the brush, easily 10 foot tall. It was the size of a beer keg, the head, and was the shape of that of a tapir. So it had a little bit, I'm assuming, of a snout, but long
trunk.
face.
Yeah.
And its snout was that of pulling things and taking hold of them. So a little trunk. The eyes were small and dull and set those of that of an alligator on top of the skull. Despite being half buried in dried mud, we could see that its neck, which was remarkably snake-like, and it's only thicker in proportion. It roughly nodded like that of an alligator's side rather than its back. Eventually, the animal saw nothing odd in us, and if it noticed us at all, it advanced till he was no more than 150 feet away. We could see parts of his body, which should the jungle been 8 feet or 9 feet thicker at the shoulder, if it may have used, since there was no forelegs, only that of great heavy clawed flippers.
Oh, okay.
The surface of like were that of its neck. I'm going to break this down for you.
Yeah.
So a very taper-like head, long, thick neck. The head is the size of a beer keg, which is about a 50-gallon drum. Massive.
Okay.
Had a little trunk. Little tiny dull eyes. As far as I can tell, no ears. Its neck was like the side of an alligator's body, not its top. So what they mean is there are dermal ridges, or the dorsal ridges on the alligator, the plates.
Okay.
The heavy armor plates, not like that. Like on the alligator side, they have the big square scales.
Okay.
So its body was covered in what seemed to be scales and knots. So they get little nodes on them, like big scales and little scales mixed in. So that's kind of what it looks like. So 10, 12 feet tall at the head, huge body, had no front legs. It had these giant clawed flippers. I don't know how much it actually means a flipper, or maybe halfway between a flipper and a leg. I don't know. And goes in the mud. Comes right at him. Does not care. Goes in the water. Okay. You good?
Yeah. Just trying to figure out what it is.
And we'll come back to Little Trunk. It is all said rather dramatic and harrowing, enough for sure. But apparently it got even more so when Fing whipped out his rifle. You know, before I read on, you know what you shouldn't do at a gigantic monster? I think we've covered a fair bit in this show.
Is whip out a rifle and shoot it?
Shoot it. Especially when it's leaving.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, just saying. So Fing ripped out his rifle and shot it. As it seems humans would want to do, or would not want to do, facing an unknown, which apparently rhinoceros-like animal. This ricocheted off its bony head.
Oh, wow.
So he shoots it with a rifle.
Didn't do nothing. Yeah.
And just imagine that slow turn as it's looking at you.
Yeah, his head's like ringing.
Yeah. Schmidt also fired at it now because now it's very mad. But this time, he hit it in the base of the neck, which also seemed to have little to no effect. According to Schmidt's account, it began unloading their weapons into the massive creature in unison, which set it fleeing into the muddy water. Schmidt would say this about what happened next. As quickly as we could fire, we pumped 7 shots into it, and I believe all struck. They seemed to only annoy the creature, but did not work to any injury. Suddenly, it plunged forward into the silty, clumsy water. The Indian nearly upset the ding out, getting away, and both Fing and myself missed the sight as it entered the water. I was very anxious to see its hind legs, if it had any. I looked again over the time to see the last of its leave the land. Its heavy, blunt tail with rough, horny bumps. Almost more like an alligator or a caiman. The head was also still visible. Throughout the body was hidden under the splash. It was instant opportunity, I would say, that the creature was at least 35 feet long, with a height of 12 feet, devoid of its head and neck.
Okay. 30 feet long, 12 feet tall.
Yeah. In 3 seconds, there was nothing except the waves of muddy water, the movement of the waterside growth in the monkeys when its hind parts, unless hauling itself onto the treetops. As the Indian paddled frantically away, I pulled a bullet through the poor thing and let it out of its misery. We had not gone 100 yards before Fing called to me and pointed to the right. Above the water, about an eighth of a mile, appeared the head and the neck of this monster. It must have also dived and gone right under us. After a few seconds, a gaze, it began to swim towards us again. As we let our bullets seem had no effect, and it took flight in earnest, losing sight of it behind an island. We did not pick it up again, as we as we were pleased as well. So I'll read. So this, as they're unflying at it, flinging bullets at it. It jumps into the water. They're hitting this thing. I don't know if it's really breaking the skin or not. I don't think these guys know. They may not have been hit.
They didn't think it were. I
No,
mean,
they thought
they were
every
hitting
bullet
it,
was hitting it.
but they didn't think it was doing any
affecting
damage.
anything.
Yeah.
So it hurt a monkey as it was jumping in the water. He shot the monkey. I know it's kind of get lost in the middle. I don't know why he put it in there. He shot the monkey to put it out of its misery.
Jeez.
So as the Indian came back and got him, as they're leaving, they see the head of this thing. It had to pass underneath the boat, going upriver. It swims back down and goes back at him. They keep shooting at it, and then it finally leaves, and they don't see it again. So they battled what appears to be a massive dinosaur.
What kind of dinosaur, though?
Well, keep in mind, they've had a lot more time to adjust.
What do you mean?
Like, they could change their look. It could be a sauropod that is more developed for the water.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, this didn't sound like anything I'm familiar with, I guess.
Now, we keep in mind, fossil record is 1% and 1%.
Yeah, it's true.
It's certainly a very spectacular account, made an even weirder way as it appears to be an otherwise nondescript, even dull account of the expedition, and with a rather credible and ordinary for the most part. So this is the only crazy thing he really put in his book.
Okay.
That Schmidt put in his book.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, we're not talking about Percy from the other one.
Right.
Different explorers. He was the exaggerator. Schmidt wasn't.
Right.
Pretty much the rest of it was just...
Normal stuff.
Yeah, we didn't write an adventure book. He
Right.
fought one dinosaur in the middle. So even a doll accounts. It suggested that perhaps the report, in addition to the slip and later, and Schmidt just made up the story to liven things up. But there's no real way to tell. It remains the most historical account, buried in forgotten explorers' notes, with no way to really check the validity of this. Although Schmidt and company, failed to slay their beast, there have been other instances of dinosaurs that have actually been supposedly killed. And before we come back to those, we're going to have our ad break. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
I, the great and powerful Mr. E, have devised a diabolical plan. I am going to bring back a dinosaur so they can reveal their secrets of dynamite flavor. Hit the ray! What is that coming out of the tube? It's a dinosaur! Oh my gosh, what is that in your claws, dinosaur? Is that flavors of the forest, Bigfoot breath, raw garlic dust? Oh my gosh, this is the best stuff. It truly is dynamite. If you guys had this, how did you go extinct? Taxes. Gets us all. If you want some of this amazing and dynamite garlic dust, you can get it at flavorsforest.com/corn or the link below.
Man, those dinosaurs sounds are just scaring me.
This makes me laugh. I want everybody to guess who the dinosaur is. That's going to confuse a lot of people. So like I said, although they failed to slay their dinosaur, there are supposedly some accounts where people had better luck killing their thing. A very dramatic report from the 19th century, which included in 1883's issue of Scientific America, is an article titled A Bolivian Saurian. So saurian means dinosaur.
Oh, okay.
In which the Brazilian minister, El Perez in Brazil, claimed to have a very odd beast had been shot and killed in a remote area in the Bani River. And the article would say this of the account. The Brazilian minister, L.A. Perez, Brazil, had remitted to the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Rio photographs of drawings of an extraordinary saurian killed in the Bani River after receiving 36 balls. That's shots. It's been shot 36 times. By order of the president of Bolivia, the dried body, which had been preserved in Arceton, which sent to L.A., the monster was reportedly to be 12 meters long, which is 39 feet, from snout to the point of the tail, which later was flattered. Its head resembled that of the head of a dog, with the legs were short, ending in formidable claws. The legs and abdomen spouted the kind of scaled armor, and the back was were protected by still thicker and double carcasses, which is like it's double skinned. They're like it had a layer of skin armor and then normal skin under it.
Okay.
So some people think it's shell.
Okay.
Stating from behind the ears of the interior of the head and continuing to the tail had this ridge of like a shell. The neck was long and the belly was large, almost dragging on the ground as it was walking. The bizarre report is somewhat plausible as it appeared in most reputable publication at the time and just slow, or was it that, or was it just a slow news day? Giving it a bit of weight. The question is the creature, and where does the creature and where did the carcass go? Was it a hoax? No one really knows. So yeah, talking about this. This creature's 39 feet long, big pot belly, short legs, big claws, long neck, dog-like head. It had ears. We don't know if it means ear holes.
Right.
Like a lot of reptiles have and saurians and birds had.
Or like ours.
We don't know if there's a chance where dinosaurs had ears.
Okay.
Some kind.
Like a
I
hole or
was
an
supposed to
actual...
say that before with the other encounter with the river monster.
Uh-huh.
Is some people think sauropods had trunks. That big nasal bone they had on top
Yeah.
could be the attachment for a trunk, a short, stubby trunk for a feeding apparatus. There's evidence, no evidence, at the same time kind of deal. So this guy, the president of Bolivia got involved, ministers got involved, Scientific America published this. So it seems like there's a lot of people saying that, yeah, this thing was real.
Right.
Whether it was a giant turtle or a saurian, like a dinosaur, like we don't know a lot of the details about dinosaurs, what they really look like.
Right.
So there could have been a long neck ankylosaur.
It's raised a lot of questions.
Yeah.
It's a weirdly shaped animal, I guess. I don't know. This is an odd one.
They're all odd.
Well, yeah.
So,
And we don't know how many dinosaurs there were. How many
it's
different
again 1%
kinds.
of 1% of fossils.
Yeah. I mean,
So there could have been. I think dinosaurs took very odd shapes.
I'm sure. Yeah, because they already did.
Yeah. Well,
The ones we know are odd.
there was a little tiny ankylosaur that was what we think was a swimmer, a herbivorous swimmer.
Okay.
So what if this is the offshoot of that thing?
Right,
Where it
yeah.
got the long feeding neck and it had the short clawed, like the short legs. It even had maybe even flippered arms to kind of go around and be a herbivore. It's missing the hippo, a big aquatic herbivore.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah. So other explorers would account similar bizarre beast in later years. Less than a decade after Percy's doomed expedition was an account from 1931. Explorer Harold Whiston would claim that a 20-foot long serpentine reptile, like a snake, but with stumpy legs along the Brazil's remote Rio Moro River. That's pretty much all I have for that one.
Okay.
Is a 20-foot long snake-like animal, but it had stumpy legs.
Like, what are those things called?
Dinosaurs.
No. Nowadays they got like the blue-tailed, like not
Skinks?
Yeah, skinks.
Okay, well, snakes. They look like snakes with legs.
Yeah,
Or potatoes with legs,
yeah.
depending on the species.
It's just 20 foot long or whatever. What'd they say?
Yeah, 20-foot long serpentine reptile that's snake-like, but stumpy legs in this remote area. Then in 1946, there was another account from Leonard Clerk, who was traveling up the Brazil's Rio Paranaíba River and reported heard in the region's natives of a type of large, long-necked animal in this area that fed on plants. Such strange accounts have persisted into more recent years as well. In 1975, a Swiss businessman visited the Amazon and became acquainted with a local guide in the name of Sebastian Brotas, who spoke of an immense long-necked beast similar to the appearance of a dinosaur that were known by the natives and which lurked in the deep parts of the river. Barcino also claimed that one of his canoes had apparently been destroyed by one of these monsters, once again, Mokele and Bembe. Mm-hmm. Between the years of 1997 and 1980, Savano Larunas claimed that a series of articles that had been spotted a plesiosaur-like animal in lakes and swamps atop the high plateau called, Ara Anta Parari in southwestern Venezuela, which is where Jurassic Park was.
Oh, really?
Venezuela, off the coast of Venezuela. He also said that such plateaus are perceived other reports of enormous reptile-like animals. The plateaus in Brazil, like that's where he landed.
Okay.
They're prehistoric places. They are found. I don't know if they go as far back as dinosaurs, but they are time capsules. They're upshoots of rock. So they basically take whatever's there and they move it away from everything else.
Yeah.
So everything else continues to adapt and evolve without them.
Referring to the mountain itself, or
These plateaus, these uplifts.
Right. Yeah.
So enormous reptile-like creatures. The author Conan Doyle's Lost World, but he claims that they're all rather vague. Another also recent report in 1995, the year I was born, was an account given by a group of geology students that came across two huge 30-foot-long creatures with long necks wading in the Paraguaçu River in the Sorocaba mountain range in eastern Brazil. So these big group of kids, they were going to their geology site, and they literally, one of these swamps they were passing, they seen two long-necked dinosaur-like animals walking through the swamp. Best reports you get is they're huge, 30-foot long. So not like the skyscraper brontosaurus, but big.
Yeah. Big creatures nonetheless.
And they looked over at them as they were going past, and they looked over at them. Very fascinating. But they were going to somewhere else. They weren't, they weren't biology kids. They were only stinky geology kids.
Oh, probably clean geologists too.
But yeah, in the middle of friggin' Brazil. Or what did I say? Did I say Brazil? Yeah, Brazil. Another recent sighting seems of dinosaurs still roaming of July of 2004. The moon-shaped the Artima Desert, which we talked about in Chile already. Mm-hmm. So still seeing this creature in the Artima Desert. So yeah, that has been dinosaurs in South America. We still have some more to talk about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of... So this one, unlike North America, so North America had a lot of theropods.
Correct.
A lot of mini T-Rexes.
And
mountain boomers.
And then way up north, they had a couple brontosaurus accounts.
We only had one.
Just one?
Yeah.
In the Hudson Bay.
Yeah. And you can say anything about lake monsters, the long necks, whatever.
Right.
That's not what we're here to talk about. I don't know. And then, so South America seems to have much more of the saurian, like the long neck, the sauropods. Mm-hmm. And still some of the raptor-like animals. The areas, again, though, we look and see these things. They're not in the high-density population areas.
No.
They are out in the desert.
Or in the middle of the rainforest marsh.
The middle of no man's land.
Yeah.
Where the people that live in the Amazon rainforest
don't go.
Do not go.
Yeah.
So... I mean, we have a whole episode planned about talking about these things. But what do you think of the dead one?
That they found in
this giant turtle dinosaur monster hybrid.
I don't know.
I've seen that thing drawn 500 ways.
Yeah.
And there's some of them are really goofy. Like they give it big droopy ears and a dog's head. And
What, is it all just artistic license based off the account?
yes.
Okay.
From an over 100-year-old account.
Yeah. I mean, it's unlike any dinosaur.
To me, I get much more. Well, we don't know what dinosaurs look like.
Exactly. Any that we've described or have known that we got.
So we're going to
fossils
talk
of.
about an animal later on in a different episode called the roe,
Okay.
which had a very similar account of a big turtle body, big long neck, armored head, ear holes, but short body.
Okay.
Like the legs are short. Sauropods could have looked all sorts of ways. You know, we have a lot of sauropod fossils because they were the ones that were absolutely massive. Mm-hmm. You know, a 12-foot long femur is hard for an animal to carry off.
Yeah.
There's only a handful of animals on Earth's history that could carry off a 12-foot femur by themselves.
blue whale.
Well, T-Rex, you know, it would take a T-Rex, Giganosaurus,
Yeah.
Giganotosaurus. You know, it would take a truly like one of the biggest predators ever.
A cave goat might do it with its mind.
A cave goat would crawl inside it, eat it from the inside out. It's horrible monsters. It's the last episode of this series is cave goats. No, so I don't know. I guess you could say maybe the climate in the wetlands fit a sauropod body style better.
Yeah.
When in North America, we don't have as much of that. So once again, the deserty terrain may fit a leaner, faster dinosaur.
And here's another. Well, no, this would have been after.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like the northern hemisphere, going through all the ice ages and stuff. You know, if it pushes things south.
Sure. No,
I
it
don't know.
happened a lot in North America and South America, sharing. That's actually what was it? What probably wiped out the terror birds in South America
Ice age.
was the introduction of North American predators.
Oh, gotcha.
They
Okay.
just couldn't compete with stuff like the Smilodon and stuff
Right,
like
yeah.
that. But that's how we got giant ground sloths to North America.
Oh,
So
okay.
it worked both ways.
Yeah.
As they originated in South America.
And what was the fate of that giant ground sloth? He got hit in the head with a shovel in a cave in New York.
I think that was a normal sloth
Oh, okay.
by Big Jim. Yeah. If anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, it's one of our only video episodes we ever did, fully video.
On YouTube, yeah.
On YouTube. You can
What
find it.
a
It's still
reference.
there.
Yeah, it's very old, very few.
Big Jim beat a sloth to death. They crawled out of a hole in New York with a shovel. Big Jim. No, so just I don't know. I love this. I love this stuff. I hope everybody at home is enjoying these.
Yeah.
But what do you think? I mean, do you think South America's hiding dinosaurs?
Well, I think South America is a region that we are still discovering
Constantly.
like things in the forest, and like that one kid. It was a kid just in the past decade discovered that lost city using star charts based off other cities, and he actually found one. And so there's just so much that's already there.
Actually, our friend just discovered a new species of snake in South America.
Really?
We can't say who or where
Yeah.
because it's not done yet. But we have a close friend that discovered a big species. It's not an anaconda type species,
Well,
but
that may be a future episode on this show or
freaky fauna.
Freaky Fauna. Okay, yeah. So stay tuned for that.
So, yeah,
but
I mean,
it's just the Amazon, South America is so mysterious and ancient to begin with, and so very unknown and untraversed.
when we did our giant worms episode, like that's the Amazon and Japan were the two real big places with giant worm sightings.
Mm-hmm.
The Amazon itself, it's a weird place.
Very.
It's a special rainforest. I mean, all rainforests are really, really crazy, but the Amazon Delta has so much water and wetlands. That's
Yeah.
why when you look at reticulated pythons and anacondas are the two biggest snakes. Anacondas don't get as long, as far as we know. They get a lot heavier
Right.
because
More round.
it's the water.
Right.
They can support their mass with aquatic lifestyle and they get
makes
really
sense.
big.
Yeah.
They can find all their food in the water. Capybaras are gigantic aquatic rodents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, tapirs are almost fully, not fully aquatic. They're semi-aquatic. They're very apt like hippos.
Yeah, I was
But
just
they're
saying-
still not really getting that hippo niche. These big bulk feeders.
Yeah.
The Amazon's really missing a big bulk feeder. And it had him. It had plenty of Pleistocene megafauna that could have been it. So why didn't they stick around?
Who's filled that niche?
Who's filled that niche?
Interesting.
So next episode will it be Asia, and we may combine two of them. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
There may be two continents combined, but so we've done America and South America.
Yeah, the Western Hemisphere.
So I have been the great and powerful mystery,
And I've been a J clone, a 33.
and we'll catch you next week with more dinosaurs.
Bye.
Hey guys, Thank you for listening to Cryptids the Corn podcast. Remember, the best way to support the show is share it with a friend. But if you are craving more of the J clones
And more from Mr. E.
there's always extra content on Patreon.
And our paid member space on cryptidsofthecorn.com.
We'll catch you next time with more exciting, fun, and informative information. Bye.